So this is going to go live onto YouTube. Fine.
Might want to edit that out.
And we are live. Welcome, everyone. This is Epic Sketch Time. Epic Sketch Time is a weekly online drawing group. We've been around for about 7 years now. We meet Tuesdays at 4:30 Pacific time. We don't have any agendas. If we basically share drawing tips while working on our own projects. If you do want a drawing tip, like say if you want to learn how to draw a frog, everyone will raise their hand and tell you how to draw a frog. My name is Mark Monlux. I've been a freelance illustrator since 1985. I live in Tacoma, Washington. And today I'm going to be working on an illustration of an old B movie called The Robo Monster. Yeah. Let's see, going by attendance, Virginia was first, then Bill, then Barb, then Katie. Oh, you're muted right now, Virginia.
So, do you hear me?
Yes,
All
we
right.
can hear you now.
Okay. So I'm working on, oh, good. Okay, let's start again. I'm Virginia Serna. I live in Seattle, and I'm working on a picture that I drew. I hate cameras. Anyway, I think you can see it.
Yes.
Okay, so I drew this picture for my cousin, and then I wanted it. So I made a copy and put it on another piece of paper. So now I'm tracing it, and I'm trying to do it again.
Thank you, Virginia. Bill, tell us about yourself.
Hi, my name is Bill Morse. I'm a cartoonist and illustrator working in Seattle, Washington. And I do a webcomic called Rhapsodies, which today will be working on. And I'm also very excited about that. I just finished the annual mermaid challenge that everybody does called Mermaid. I'm more than happy to show off once the introductions are done.
Barb, your turn.
Wow, I feel upstaged by everybody here. I'm Barb Thomas. I live in Boston, so it's 7:30 here p.m.
Wow.
Wow.
Very cool. All my family's in New England, so very cool.
Yeah, it's really lovely here right now for some odd reason. It's like 65, 70 degrees, and it should be like summer and hot. But at any rate, I have been taking a lot of online drawing classes because of the pandemic and trying to not lose my mind, and have realized that what I really have gravitated towards is illustration. I've done watercolor, I've done acrylics, I've done, I don't know, I like pen and ink a lot, but that's like illustration. I don't care for landscapes, I don't care for portraits. So I really get down to sort of an illustrative type of drawing style is what so that's probably why I actually like what everybody's doing here.
Katie, you're next. Hi, Katie. Yeah, nice thumbs up. Well, I happen to know that Katie is a writer in Bonnie Lake. She's also a fine artist who enjoys doing work for horror-themed conventions. She's prepping now for Texas Frightmare. And I believe that is a a family grouping of the killer clowns from outer space?
Hey, yeah, I just got the stupid thing on off of mute. So yes, that is correct. And thank you for giving my bio so eloquently. But yeah, I am going through several pieces today and just finishing them while I'm battling eye fatigue because, you know, right before a huge convention, you're doing way too much. So yes, but glad to be here.
I am going to take a moment, make the screen available for everybody and show, I drew a monster for a Facebook page called Monster Monday, where everybody draws a monster on Monday. It's something just cranked it out in about, you know, underneath half an hour. Let me share my screen. My brother just texted me with his Wordle score for the day. Let's see. Oh, did that not work? Hang on. Let me go back.
It's working.
It's working?
Yeah. Though it seems to think that you haven't finished processing yet. I can see the blurred one. There we go.
Okay. So I'm going to just show my drawing time-lapse replay on this. I'm using Procreate. I'm using a brush tip that is a little different. It is a calligraphy brush tip that does a nice smoother line. And so that's what I drew for Monster Monday. And something I started doing last Monster Monday that I thought, you know, this would make a nice little sticker is I'm doing Robo Monster, which is an old 1950s really bad film. And I'm just messing around with the colors right now, and I'm not really happy with any of them. So I'm trying to figure out what my palette's going to be. I thought maybe blue, but then I thought, no, blue's not really working. Maybe I really need to go to the brown. Maybe I need to do this brown on the gorilla. I don't know. I'm just.
If we're going gorillas, if you tried paint gray at all?
No, I'm not going to go gray. I'm going to go a more vivid color. I find that I'm going to be doing grays on the helmet. If I did gray on the grill, the whole thing would just fade away. So
Right.
even instead of doing gray on the helmet, I'll probably do something that'll look more like an aluminum blue. Anyway, so that's what I'm going to be struggling with my color palette today. And again, with that illustration, I was using underneath the brush palette, the technical pen tool, which has been my go-to, but I really have been enjoying, I saw a YouTube video where someone altered the calligraphy setting for script, and I changed my settings to the same settings. And what happens is when you draw a line, it does some self autocorrect, so it's really smooth. You don't get any type of jerks or anything in it. It kind of limits your control a little bit. If you go too slowly, the jerks will show up. But if you do it smoothly and quickly, it looks beautiful and flowy. But you gotta get it right the first time, or you have to redraw the stroke, redraw the stroke, redraw the stroke until you get it. And I'm trying to do less redrawing the strokes, because one of the things I always liked about my pen and ink work before was you couldn't backstep it. And
Right.
when you work on Procreate, you can backstep it all you want, but that just means you have to, it takes longer to finish a piece. And I'm really lazy. I don't like to do a lot of work on my stuff. Let's see. Oh, my brother's Wordle score was 5. He's embarrassed. Just an update for all you guys.
Do we want to know what that is?
You don't know what Wordle is?
Or
Wordle-
Wordle. It's yeah, right. Is it quizzing on vocabulary? Right. For a second, it sounded too much like. For a second, it sounded like.
Wordle is a game that you can play on the New York Times website. And it's basically you're given, it's a 5-letter word, and you do a guess, and if you have a letter that's correct but in the wrong spot, it's yellow. If it's correct and in the right location, it turns green. And it's a process of elimination. And Barb is taking off. So that's okay.
Oh goodness. I have such bad eye fatigue. I had to go get my, sorry if I was making a lot of noise. I had to go get my reading. I normally don't need them to paint, but
Yeah.
So I just had a fun weekend doing Crypticon.
Oh, nice. How'd that turn out?
Crypticon was pretty, it wasn't as good as last year. Last year we had a lot of celebrity draws. Elvira was a huge draw. And then we also had the brothers who did Killer Clowns from Outer Space, and they were a huge draw on top of all the other celebrities. This year, we had 2 of the actresses from Night of the Comet and an actress who was both the actress who played the mom in E.T. and the boy who was in E.T. Or one of the boys from E.T. I don't know if it was the boy, but I think it was. The woman who played the mom in E.T. has also been in a number of other films as a leading person. She was the lead in the horror movie Cujo. And she was also the lead in the horror movie The Howling. So
yeah.
she was
Oh, sorry.
What were you saying, Bill?
Cujo always creeped the hell out of me.
So I got her headshot. A matter of fact, that I got her headshot, and he says, "Hey, yeah, for another $20, how about I'll give you a selfie?" I said, "Oh, that's great." So I had a selfie with her, and I was still admiring another one of her headshots, and she says, "Oh, I tell you what, I'll just give that to you free." I said, "Thank you, that's so sweet of you." And I later came back with my book, which is a compilation of movie reviews, and I had drawn her on the flyleaf inside the car with Cujo attacking. She got a kick out of that. I totally forgot I had done a movie review of E.T. in there. So she read the review, and since I compared E.T. to a boy and his dog film, she kind of she laughed and slapped me on the shoulder like a mild reprimand. And I'm kind of, but yeah, she was a real card.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, Dee Wallace, she goes to I've actually stayed on the same hotel floor as her at Texas Frightmare, and she's so tiny, and
Oh my God.
she freezes the whole time.
She is the most petite little person.
Yeah, she doesn't look like that on film, and it's so interesting how film is. I don't even know that it's film adds 10 pounds. It's that people just look bigger on TV. It's so manipulating. That's just like both the ladies from Night of the Comet. They are so freaking tiny, but in Night of the Comet, they're like these two, badass teenage girls, and they're 10 foot tall and could kick somebody's butt, but they're both extremely small. Extremely.
Yeah, no, I think a lot of it's the casting. I mean, I remember I was surprised the first time I ever saw Arnold Schwarzenegger on Saturday Night Live, and he's barely as tall as Dana Carvey.
Kind of loud.
And, Humphrey Bogart was a very short man. And Tom Cruise is also a very small
I've seen
bundle
those.
of energy. But let me, I'll show you my selfie. I felt like I was a giant standing next to her. So this is me. I'm kind of slouching.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I'm a good foot taller than she is. But she was fun. So much fun. So I added her headshot to my collection of headshots because I only allow myself one purchase at a convention anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Though I bought more than just the headshot. I bought my wife some earrings, which she really loves. She's been wearing them for the last 2 days. And I bought a DVD that I found of one of my old-time favorite films, The Thief of Baghdad from 1940.
Oh, that's the second one, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Not the silent film version, but the...
Just making sure you're just enough of an enthusiast that you'd make the distinction, so I figured I'd check.
No, it was not the Douglas Fairbanks one, which is absolutely gorgeous, but no, this is a sound film.
Yeah, no,
but done in color, and it won some Oscars back in the day. And it is, I would say, I love it so much. I would even say it's in my top 5 favorite films of all time.
Really?
Yeah.
Nice.
So I mentioned this when I was showing it to some of my friends yesterday at a physical gathering, and my friend Haley had just returned a set of 10 movies back to me, which she's had for about a year, and I loaned her this one.
I think that Criterion has put out an edition pretty recently with a really nice cover.
I'm not sure if this is I know that this is the MGM brand on it. Let's see, I'm looking here. This is the movies that she returned to me, my 2 DVD set of classic sci-fi films. This contains Tarantula, which I've seen. Well, assume I've seen all of these. The Mole People, The Incredible Shrinking Man, The Monolith Monsters, Monster on Campus, Dr. Cyclops, Cult of the Cobra, The Land Unknown, Deadly Mantis, and The Leech Woman.
Wow, that's quite a range of quality there. I mean, Dr. Cyclops is considered one of the classics, but all the other ones are pretty.
Some of them are Cult of the Cobra, MSK 3000 did a wonderful riff on it. I'm not sure if I've seen The Land Unknown. So I'm going to have to rewatch that.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever heard of that. I almost misheard you as I almost thought you were about to say Land Before Time until you finished the title, Yeah. So it's a.
The description is when a Navy expedition crash lands on a crater thousands of meters below sea level, they encounter a hot tropical landscape of prehistoric terror filled with ferocious dinosaurs. Now, I think I've seen the Deadly Mantis because it's about a giant praying mantis.
Yeah.
And I'm unsure whether or not I've seen the Leech Woman because it sounds a lot like the Wasp Woman. So
I know I've heard of the Leech Woman, I think in context of somebody mocking it. So all I know about Deadly Mantis is I've seen the still frame of them showing the picture, the scientists showing the photograph of comparing the scale of the mantis with, I forget what it was standing next to in the picture.
how did you spend your weekend, Bill?
Well, I finished, it was pretty much low key. I finished my house sitting gig, and as I said, I finished Mermaid. And beyond that, it was just pretty much doing office work. But I'm mostly happy with my turnout this year. Almost tempted to keep going for a little while, considering that I finished so early. But they mostly came out pretty well.
Oh, nice.
I mean, I'm almost tempted to considering my best run yet, though there were a handful of mediocre ones as well.
Those look pretty good, Bill.
Oops, darn, come on. It's always hard to get the angle right with this. There we go. And here's where we're up to with what I'm showing on Instagram.
Hold it just a little closer to the lens, please, Bill.
Mm-hmm.
Nice job.
Yeah, I mean, this one here, Zaddy, was probably the toughest prompt because it was a word I never even heard until I got the prompt.
What was that word?
Apparently, it's a meme term for a virile older male. According to Google Images, George Clooney is a zaddy.
Zaddy.
Oh, and then the Haley Bailey one I didn't want to do blatant fan art when I saw the title, but all in all, pretty fun, and I'm sort of thinking about other things I can do with them. Oh, and I saw Ant-Man Wasp Quantumania this weekend as well.
And what was your take?
Definitely not one of the Marvel masterpieces, but it was entertaining fluff. It was definitely going more for the laughs. Though in some ways, probably a little too much. I mean, yeah, MODOK is a character nobody's going to take seriously, but the way they handled him was a bit even sillier than that.
I liked it. I
didn't say I disliked it. But the actor who plays Kang is very good.
Now, Katie, isn't it your anniversary today?
It is. I've been married 2 years now.
Ooh, congrats.
Exciting, huh? And then yeah, and we've been together almost 9 years, so yeah.
Yeah, I saw on Facebook the steaks that Tim was planning on throwing on the grill later today.
Yeah, we were gonna go to like this thing near our house, and then we were like, this you guys understand this. So it was like I started thinking about like, oh my gosh, if we leave the house, that means I have to change my clothes. I have to look nice. We have to sit there, wait for service, blah, blah, blah. And while you're cooking, I could still be packing for the con. And so we canceled our plans, and then we just went to Costco and got some steaks. Which honestly will work out better anyway, because he likes to cook and he likes his steaks the way he likes his steaks. So he usually cooks them better than if we go somewhere. I mean, occasionally he gets impressed, but not always. But yeah, 2 years, and we spent most of our anniversary with him printing prints of all my art.
Nice.
He's
Yeah,
very excited for me this year.
I sent him a text saying, Minuteman Press does a great job. Yeah.
And that's our next step. It's going to be our next step, I think, is we're going to, the problem is there's so many things that are super simple if I just learn them, but then that requires me to have time to learn them. And so that's our next step, is not printing at home anymore. But we have a really nice printer. So it's not it just takes forever, if you're doing it at home and you're using high quality paper. It's a photo print, a nice printer. So he has to somebody has to sit there and print them. And I don't know how to use Photoshop. That's one of the things I haven't had time to learn either. I know very little about Photoshop. I can get in it, but like I took it for a class for my master's. And then as soon as the class was over, I forgot everything I learned. And so he knows how to do that, and he's very supportive and helpful. He's been very supportive of me learning to do art.
Why do you need to learn how to use Photoshop?
Well, so I can figure out how to print things. When I'm going to tell you, this is something I don't know if you guys have noticed this, and maybe I'm doing something wrong, but sometimes things do not look the same in Procreate as they look when you send them over to Photoshop. Have you noticed that? Like he finds things when he puts it in Photoshop that's like, Amanda, you need to go back in or fix this, or I need to fix it for you because you completely missed this in Procreate. But then I'll go back and Procreate and I'm like, look, it's not there in Procreate. So you're gonna have to modify it for me.
I'm sure there's some settings there that, because I mean, I used to have that problem with Photoshop moving Corel Painter documents into Photoshop. They were always darker.
Okay, yeah.
Part of the thing is that Photoshop is actually more accurate with its color representation of how it will actually look when it's printed. When you're knowing what an illuminated color looks like when you print it, people are constantly going, oh, wow, this is so much darker than, well, that's because you've been working on the computer and you've got a light screen behind you.
Yeah, that's one of the things we were dealing with today. And then I learned a really stupid lesson with this project. I made all those mini portraits and I was like, oh, yeah, I can just scan these and then he can make prints. And he's like, Amanda, these are so tiny. When you try to resize them, the scanned images, they look like crap. And so I'm sure you guys learned that lesson a long time ago.
Yeah.
What you do when you scan is you scan it at a higher DPI and at a larger size.
Oh,
So
yes.
but it might be that your scanner is only capable of scanning up to 300 DPI per inch. Whereas I always bought a scanner that was capable of scanning at 1200 DPI per inch. That way, when I blew it up, it would look a lot better. Also, the higher resolution you can scan at, let's say you do a scan, your image is only like, say 3x4. If you could just scan that at 300 DPI, but that's not going to be really that great. But if you tell it to scan that image at 3x4, but to scan it if you scan it and tell it to be a 6x8 at 300 DPI, is the equivalent of telling this size to be 600 DPI, or telling it to scan it, pretend it's larger, and scan it at 300 by 6 inches by 8 inches. So you can alter around with the scanning settings, but it all depends on how good your scanner is and its capabilities for settings. Right now, I have a scanner that's only capable of scanning 600 DPI emulated, but that's still pretty good. So if I was to do a simple way of understanding that was if it was a 1-inch image and I scanned it at 600 DPI, that means that 2 inches, it would be 300 DPI, and at 4 inches, it would be 150 DPI, which is terrible when you're printing. You need at least 300 DPI when you're printing, but you actually want more if you can.
Yeah,
And-
I scanned them at 600.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah. And he just said they were too small. I ended up saving everything because I went in and I went into Procreate. I pulled the images into Procreate and they were photos, and I ended up completely modifying them, which is how I ended up with eye fatigue, because I did like 7 of them in a row. Yeah, that's what. So I haven't been using my iPad and my Procreate that much. And I ended up, let me go get it. I'll show you real quick too, just because we're always showing things on Procreate. But I saved the day. I think I may have wasted what capacity I have left. getting ready to go into a big convention, but that's okay. Let me pull it up. Sorry, guys. Oh my gosh, okay, hold on. So I had a picture of the nun. So here's the finished product.
Ooh.
Nice.
But here's what it looked like. Oh, actually, I lied. That one, I forgot to make the duplicate layer. Let me see another one that looks okay. So here is the curse of oh my gosh, I can't even remember anymore. So let me turn that off. Let me turn all these layers off. So this is what it looked like as a miniature painting. Not bad, right? But I was like, I don't feel like this looks good enough to make as a print. So I went in and I made a duplicate layer to refine it so it would look better, and then just did some smudging. I think it doesn't look too bad. I just can't remember it's Barbara Steele. I just cannot remember what her name was in there. And then like my unicorn, or not my unicorn, my leprechaun. I modified him a little bit just using the smudge brush, but since I was able to put them in Procreate and modify them, then I was able to upload them to Tim. He was able to then print them. Like my ring girl, she looks way better. She looks super creepy now compared to what she looked like before. She still looked creepy, and oddly enough, this one is the one that terrifies Tim the most. He was like, that is just.
Oh, that's great.
He said Annabelle was like, but they're all based off of these. So here's what it looks like when it's scanned. You know, it's a scanning of a painting. Of course, the painting doesn't really look like this. Like if you're looking at the actual little miniature painting, it looks way better than this. But when you're scanning it, it's just like the scan almost separates all of the different details. And so it was just easier to go back in here and smudge.
Now,
And-
one of the things you can do is, but in Photoshop, I wonder if you can do the same thing in Procreate. Bill, let me know if you think we can do it. One of the things that photographers will do to give things a smoother look is they'll copy the image, they'll put it on the layer above, they'll give that layer above a slight gossamer blur, and then they will make that, they will fade it back to just a percentage, and then where they want the area to be sharp, they would go in and either erase it or do a mask.
Yeah, I think you can do that. I mean, I know you've given me this tutorial before, though generally for Photoshop.
Yeah, but I think I know that you can do a gossamer blur in Procreate.
Oh yeah.
So, and I know that you can erase on Procreate, and I know that you can create a
mask.
Another layer over the top and have it be a percentage.
Yeah, that's what I just did that on this one. I went in and I have layer 1, then I made a duplicate of layer 1, and I did an overlay. And then
Okay.
Yeah, I'm doing the gossamer or Gaussian. Yeah,
gossamer blur, and you just do that to. You don't have to make it a huge blur, just a little small blur.
Yeah, and
Are
I
you seeing the
had
changes?
Yeah, so like here's the layer. Well, that's weird. I don't know why it's not showing the layer.
It is showing the layer. You over blurred it. It's possible.
Yeah, well, it's an overlay too. So let me put it to normal, because it's interesting how when you put it in. So if I put it in normal, And then I do, yep,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah, you
it's
over blurred it.
super,
So
yeah.
have it, get rid of that layer. Okay. Now duplicate that layer.
uh-huh.
Okay. Now in normal, do Gossamer blur, but only do a small percentage. I mean, really small.
Okay,
Right.
that's 2% right there.
Okay, perfect. That's
There we
all
go.
you need. Okay. Now what you do is you make that into like, say, 20%
Opacity.
of opacity.
Okay.
Okay. And if you go into like blow them up on like a detail, like on the zipper mouth or the tie.
Okay.
So on the edge, like where you want it to be nice and crisp, where the edge of the shirt is with the tie, you could just take the eraser tool and just erase that section and have the crispness come back. See how that works?
Yeah.
But all the rest of it's already smoothed out. Now you can even go back and say, oh, I want that to be a little bit smoother with the Gossamer blur. So rather than having to go back in and smear things, that's one of the techniques you can use.
I gotcha. Yeah. And okay, and then when you pull back, you can see the sharpness. Yeah. Oh, that's cool. All right.
That'll save you a lot of time. That's what
Oh, yeah.
people do when you get a photograph of your client and your client's got lots of fine little wrinkles in their face and you want to make them look younger, or they've got little blemishes. I've got an automatic filter on my face filter where I just duplicate the thing, do a minor Gossamer blur, knock it back to like say 5%, and then I just quickly airbrush out everything, airbrush in a mask so that all the crisp things come out nice and crisp, but the skin loses all of its tiny little wrinkles, and you can make a person look 10 years younger like that, and all those weird freckles or liver spots suddenly fade back a bit too.
That is cool. Yeah, because I'm definitely gonna try to start using my Procreate more, because I remember telling you that I still want to continue to do acrylics, but I also I'm gonna take advantage of using the using my tools that I have, because it's hard. I'm going to quit doing as many originals. Like I may just paint on a board. I'm not going to paint. I'm not going to
I
paint
love
on.
the fact that you do originals, but I don't think you should be selling your originals. I think the fact that you sell your originals for so little makes me kind of go, no.
Oh, I know. Well, I just sold one.
Sell your prints instead.
I just don't want a bunch of stuff cluttering my house. That's
Well, that's
big...
understandable. But when you sell your prints, sell them for what they're really worth. $400 or $500.
I did go ahead and Tim posted the cat. He posted. I guess you and Tim were messaging earlier, and he was asking you how much I should be charging or something. I'm like, thanks, hun. He put a picture of the obeys up. I already sold the cat obey. I sold it for $200.
See, I told you.
If
you had that at 300, you would still have sold it.
I know. I sold it to the person, and I said, yeah. They were like, oh my God, I want that. I said, I can't take less than which the person has bought from me before, and they have never complained about my pricing, but I was like, they've never bought a piece at that price. And so I was like, yeah, I can't.
So you sold it for how much?
200.
Good for you. Good for
you.
Yeah,
No. I sold it for exactly. I was like, no, I'm bringing these home before I'll sell them, because I like them, and I'll just hang them in the house. They're funny and they're cute. So we would use them around the house. So I have to decide. I have a couple pieces from last year's Texas Frightmare, and I have to decide if I want to take them. And I told Tim, I said, I have a feeling. He's like, Amanda, I don't know about this. I said, I have a feeling there's going to be people, because there were people last year who are going to come to our booth first thing, and they're going to snatch a lot of these originals up because they have told me they like my originals. And I said, we're going to end up not having anything on that table by Sunday. So I'm thinking about taking some of the pieces that didn't sell last year, but were pieces that I received feedback from people like, oh, I like this. Like I have a piece. This kid was just like so upset, but he was flying and he could not fit this piece of art in his suitcase. He brought his suitcase down to see if he could put it in his suitcase, and he could not fit it. And I told Tim, I said, well, what if we take it? And this kid's been waiting. You know, he seemed really upset he could not fit it in his luggage. And I was like, what if we take it? And this year he's just like, come straight to the booth and is like, do you still have that? You know? And I'm like, we agreed that we'll pack everything new first, and then we'll go through my old stuff, and then anything that I remember someone, just really, wanting or making a lot of comments about, we may just take it. And then if we sell out on Saturday, then I'll just put those out on Sunday so we have something out, or I might put them all out anyway the whole weekend if we have the room. And that's the big thing about originals, like having a setup like you have at cons is great. But it's like when you have a bunch of originals, it really starts to cramp the booth fast, and the table. And I know you know this.
I know this, which is why I think you should be taking your prints. And now you can always say, I have the original for this. You don't have to take the original, and just mail them the original, have them buy it, and then mail it to them.
That's true.
So
that is definitely true. I know when we go to, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, my friend Sam Day, almost all of his commission works goes through the mail. Because what he'll do is he'll often paint on site, but then he'll take the painting home with him and finish it off, and then mail it to the person, because he just wants to add in those last little details.
Oh, that's
but you were saying?
Oh no, I was just gonna say, like when we go to SummerCon, I will only be taking prints to SummerCon.
Good for you.
Even though that's a local, even though it's a local con, it's a local con that has it's not a con where having a bunch of wasting your time taking a bunch of originals is appropriate. It's a print con,
yes, very much a print con.
Yeah, so there's no point in
Brill sold a painting of his that should have easily been a $400 painting, and he sold it for $200. And all I wanted to do was just kick him. It was a creature of a black lagoon wearing a Hawaiian shirt with a tiki mug in his hand.
Ooh.
Yeah, I mean, and so yeah, he said, "Oh, I made table. I sold that print." I said, "Of course you sold that print. Only $200." Jeez.
That's like, is he the one that has the huge predator? Not alien. It's an alien that's
a
drinking out of a
xenomorph.
teacup. Yeah, the
He
xenomorph.
had that, but I told him that if he sold it for less than $500, I would beat him up. And he dragged that around for a while, and guess what? He sold it for $500 last year. So, I says, well, Monlux was right.
Shocking, right?
Yeah.
Like you have all this professional knowledge and experience, and I try to listen to you. Sometimes I'm just stubborn. I can't help myself. Oh, and Tim really liked his pin that I got from you. It was the one he wanted. So I was very happy. I was
Oh,
like, oh,
yay.
thank God.
Was that the
The brain one?
brain one, the metal Luna?
Yes. And I was telling him, I was like, I was there when he was working on that on Epic Sketch. So I know the origin story of this one. And so then he thought that was cool too. But yeah, he loved it. He put it on he has a bag on his desk so because he's 54, he has high blood pressure. I mean, not every 54-year-old has high blood pressure, but he does. And so he has like high blood pressure, all that jazz. So he has like this little bag on his desk where he keeps all his prescription medicine. So he remembers every morning to take his medicine because it's at his desk. And so he put the pin on his medicine bag. So just so you know, he calls it his drug bag, but his prescription meds for.
Well, that's good to know. I'm glad I made the cut.
Right?
So I'm trying to figure out how to do the highlights for this painting, or I'm having a weird time with the highlights on this guy's fur. Might have to come back. And rethink these. Might have to change my light source. I'll do a little bit of a share. Think I got the right color. By the way, everyone say hello to Roger. He snuck in about 10 minutes ago.
Hello, Roger.
Hi, Roger.
Hi, Roger.
Let's see. Share screen. Okay,
Oh.
so
Yeah,
I think I got the right color for the fur and the chest, and now I'm doing sort of like a white highlight gloss, and I'm trying to right now I have it at about 45, so if I could always dim it down to make it look a little bit more subtle.
That's almost a pain gray after all.
And well, you might think it looks gray, but that's really a blue.
Yeah.
And so thing is, I need to mess around with where the color's going on the rest of him. I think what I'll do is these parts of the arms will definitely get the treatment. This part of his belly will get the treatment. I'm trying to decide also to do this part of the belly. I'll definitely do the top part of his thigh here. But maybe I'll have to do more of his thigh. I'll mess around. I can always take it off later if I don't like it. That's where I'm going with it right now. I'm putting a lot more into this thing than I thought I would. But I think it will make a really popular sticker once I get it done. And might even put some lettering in the background, depending on how well, but you know, I'm really happy with how this guy's beginning to look. Anyways, I'll stop sharing. There, I should be speaking of upcoming days. Next week is the 30th, the day after Labor Day. And we should be on. If I have a change in the schedule, I'll let you guys know. But can you believe it? It has been yet another hour. It's 5:30. I want to thank everyone for coming and enjoying me rambling on. Katie preparing for Texas Frightmare. I'm looking forward to a report next week, Katie.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope it's a good report.
Before we go, I just showed how far I got along. Does everyone want to show how far they've gotten along?
Oh, not as far as I would have liked, but pretty much just halfway.
And you, Virginia?
Well, let me see if I can see this right.
Oh, I can see it. Yes. You're making progress.
Yeah.
Oh, it looks great.
I didn't paint it yet. I'm not worried.
And Katie, I see you're working on your trick or treat now.
Yep, this is the small one. I have
Well,
two.
thank you guys. I'll see you all next